Hello everyone, Exelbirth here, and well, around this time of year a lot of people do top 10 lists for things like movies and games and sometimes books, songs. Mostly every kind of media has a top 10 list at the end of the year. I thought, you know what, I should give that a try, but I don't want to do a top 10 game list or top 10 movie list. There's only one game I really consistently play throughout the year, and that is Minecraft. So I thought, maybe I should try doing a top 10 mod list. Now, this is all my opinion, so my top 10 are going to be different than your top 10. But these are my top 10 mods for 2013 based on mods I have used and mods I have experienced before. So, let's get started. So the first mod I have on the list is Buildcraft, coming in at number 10. Now, this mod is a pretty old mod, and most people that play in the modded versions of Minecraft tend to know about it because it's included in almost every single mod pack that there is. This mod adds a bunch of machinery and pipes, mainly pipes, that allow you to send items to other places, making it possible to do sorting systems. It also comes with its own fuel system, comprised mainly of oil, and refining that oil into gasoline, which is then in turn used to power combustion engines. This allows you to generate power to operate the machinery that you end up using. As Buildcraft has gone along in time, it's become a lot more complex than it was when it first started, as with every other mod that has been made. Buildcraft's complexity, however, gives it a bit of uniqueness as it allows you to create things like redstone chipsets, gates, and wires, which you can attach directly to the pipes you already have in place, allowing you to set up a very interesting redstone-style system to turn your machines on and off, such as if your combustion engines are about to explode, you can have it set so that they will automatically turn off. This mod pack is number 10 on my list because, in terms of usefulness, I have found it to be useful through every single iteration of Minecraft so far. For those who have not heard of Buildcraft before, I recommend giving it a try. It is a very useful mod and allows you to do some creative things. Coming in at number 9 on the list for me is Forestry. Now, this mod originally started as an add-on to the Buildcraft mod, and has become its own very complex and in-depth mod. It adds things like bee breeding and tree breeding, and it also adds butterfly collecting in the latest versions. The bee breeding part is one of the most complex things that I've seen for a mod, and while it can be infuriating at times, it's a rather passive thing that doesn't require your constant attention, as your bees are required to go through an entire generation before you can do anything with them at all. What I find interesting about this mod itself is that it, in turn, from being an add-on, has tons of add-ons for it, such as magical bees, or more bees, which adds some genetics. Yes, you can actually genetically modify your bees with that mod, which allows you to speed up the process, but still requires you to take some patience when it comes to amassing enough bees to do the modifications with. As you travel throughout the world, you will find many different hives and many different biomes, typically biomes which the bees will actually breed in. If you try to breed a bee in a biome that it is not comfortable with, it will just sit there and ignore you. Yes, these bees misbehave. But aside from the bee part, there's also tree breeding. Now, this is actually completely symbiotic with the bee breeding, as it requires the bees to be flying around and doing their business to cross-pollinate the trees, allowing you to get wonderful things such as cherry trees or walnut trees. And as a side, kind of as a bonus, the trees you breed will give you multiple different colors of wood, allowing you to create more decorative looking buildings. And if you are too lazy to chop down the trees yourself, or even too lazy to do your own farming, you can create multi-block structures which run on Buildcraft power, which Forestry thankfully has its own standalone engines, and the multi-block structures can come in multiple shapes and sizes. The one I have here right now is one of the smallest ones, and is currently set to an orchard, allowing me to harvest cherries from these cherry trees. As you see, it is a pretty simple process. Just set it up, let it work, and get the rewards yourself. It does require 2 resources to run for an orchard. It only requires water and fertilizer. If you want to do more complex, more farms such as wheat or potatoes or things like that, you are going to need to have the seeds to plant the potatoes and stuff. And let's see, I don't believe that there is too much else to talk about with this mod. At its core, it is basically breeding trees and breeding bees. All the extra stuff is just kind of a bonus. So, if you enjoy building decorative structures, this is definitely a good mod in the long run, as it will give you a rainbow spectrum of wood. And if you enjoy sitting around doing absolutely nothing but getting all sorts of materials for it, breeding bees is definitely going to be your favorite thing in the world. Especially with the added bees of the add-ons. Because you can get bees that will breed and produce things like iron, or even beef. Yes, beef producing bees. Very interesting concept. I love it. Honey and beef. It's probably a good combo. Coming in at number 8 on my list of mods is the Morph mod. Now, this mod is actually a pretty creative mod that, well, it allows you to morph into other creatures, such as I can turn into a cow, or even a zombie. Very dangerous to do in the daytime, though, because you will start on fire. Now, I'm in creative mode, so I'm not starting on fire, which is good. But if you are in survival mode, then a fire is definitely imminent. You can even turn into a villager and just try blending in with the locals. Or you can turn into a sheep of any color you want. And one thing that a lot of people think is probably the most OP is turning into a bat. Now, one of the cool things about this is that if you are a creature that is smaller than a block, you can go into 1 block high tunnels. As a bat, you are able to fly. Let's switch out of... Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Switch out of creative mode, and as you see, I am still able to fly around. This is because I am a bat. Now, if I head up here and I turn into a chicken, I can't fly anymore, but I fall very slowly. And take no damage. Coming in at number 7 on my top 10 list of mods for 2013 is the Archimedes ship mod. Now, this mod isn't overly complex like a lot of other mods so far on this list, but it's a mod that I consider to be quite enjoyable. And I could be a little bit biased on that because I've always enjoyed the concept of airships. One of the first games I played to completion was Skies of Arcadia, which heavily featured airships, and I've always had a love for them after that. Now, the mod is relatively simple. You just make your ship out of the materials that you have in the config file enabled, and place a helm on your structure. And if you want it to be an airship, put on these air balloons. If it's a water ship, you're going to need to make some buoyancy blocks. And right-click on the helm with your control measurement gauges. I'm sorry about that. Forgot the name of it. But once you do that, you sit down and your ship is now completely controllable and can fly around. And you can rebind the keys to control this. For an airship, you have ascent and descent. I rebound those to the U and M keys. There's also the brake key, which I have assigned to my K key because there's a lot of other keys that are being used right now. Now, the Archimedes ship mod has a fully rebindable, well, a fully configurable file, which enables you to allow certain blocks to be able to be made into ships and other blocks to not be ships. Whether or not you're able to use this with mod blocks, such as the multiple colors of forestry wood, I do not know, because I have not tested that out personally. But this is a very enjoyable mod. It allows you to do something creative that you can't normally do in Minecraft, but then again, that's what mods are supposed to do, so should I really praise it so much for that? In my opinion, yes I should, because I'm flying on a ship. For a long time, Minecraft has not really been the most decorative game. While you can build very massive and impressive structures, the way you are able to decorate those structures has been fairly limited to bookshelves and paintings, then eventually adding item frames, which allows you to basically put up anything on display, and now different colored blocks and carpets. The next mod on my list is Bibliocraft, and that remedies the decoration problem fairly impressively. As you see, there is a lot of different things that you can add in Bibliocraft. So, let's get started with some of the basics. You can make things like tables and chairs, and lamps, desks, bookshelves, potion shelves, tool racks, glass cases, armor stands, map frames, which I have never actually used yet because those are a fairly new thing to me anyway. I don't know how long it's been in there. And a couple of other new things are dinner plates and cookie jars. And disc racks, which you can put your records on. Now, the cool things about the cookie jar and dinner plates is that, well, the cookie jar, it will fill up with cookies as you put more items in it. And it doesn't have to be cookies either. You can use your cookie jar to cleverly disguise the fact that you have massive amounts of steak and chicken. Or you can put a dinner plate on a table and set your food on it. Maybe even serve up some food for some guests. If you want the food off, simply hold shift and right click. That will allow you to look in here, or yeah, I think that's all you can do to actually get it off. Shift right click, figure food out, the food disappears. It also adds these little labels, which you can hold shift and right click on to open them and place items in there wherever you want. This makes it slightly easier to label what chests you have items in and which ones you don't, and allows for a little bit more diversity in your chest than a typical item frame would allow you to do. Lamps are fairly unique as they will be different in style based on the direction you place them. If you place them on a flat surface, they will sit typically normally, place them on a wall and they will be mounted to the wall, or on the ceiling and they will be hanging. Writing desks are fairly cool design, which allows you to actually pick up items and place them on the desk, which gives it a bit of a decorative appearance. You can also place your enchanted books onto these bookshelves, allowing you to categorize your books a little bit easier. And you can place them on there simply by pointing at an empty spot and right-clicking, or right-click the book itself and set them up how you want. Now, you cannot put any items in here, so you're going to need a normal shelf for that. Now, these normal shelves can hold 4 different items each. So while they might not be great for storage space, they are a fairly decorative looking area. If you want to put your tools up on the wall, you can place them on these item racks, or if you want to put them on display, simply open up the display case and place your item in there. Now, how about potions? Well, there's these potion shells which you can place the potions on here, and they will even keep their little glowing effect. Be warned though, because a massive amount of potion shells with potions on them could cause a little bit of lag. There's also armor stands, which allow you to quickly put your armor onto the stand itself and have a decorative display. Now the maps I have not used yet, so let's go ahead and grab one of these empty maps and we're just going to right click on it. Take a look at this entire area. As you see, it is not really that big of an area that's covered, but if you place it on the map display, it will be created without a border around it, which is far better than placing the map in the item frames, which you normally can do in Minecraft. And as with everything, these chairs, you are able to interact with them. You can take a seat on them, take a sit, rest, eat your meal that's in front of you, then hop off and go about your business. And these chairs can be placed in multiple directions, and they have multiple different styles that you can place on them. Now, each one of these items does come in different wood style, and there are actually add-ons that allow you to get the different mods, wood colors in them, such as Biomes of Plenty. You can get all the different colors of Biomes of Plenty into here, or the forestry ones. So the amount of decorating you can do is nearly limitless. There's a forestry butterfly. Anyway, that's it for Bibliocraft. Coming in at number 5 on my list of top 10 mods is actually a tie. We have Tinker's Construct and Natura, or Natura, whatever you call it. And they're actually mods that work together. Tinker's Construct adds a bunch of different ores and, well, the ability to create custom weapons, and it adds some very unique ways of gathering metals. Not only does it add the new ores, including 2 that you can only find in the Nether, but it also adds gravel ores, which have the same effect as if you were mining stone ore. You can also find different berry bushes which grow metal berries. And you can also find an experience berry bush. Simply pick some experience berries and eat them and you will gain levels. You can also make some pretty basic items that are not really meant to go with the weapon stuff, but are pretty fun to make. You can also craft some bounce pads with slime, which are pretty fun to bounce around on. Now, in order to create the new weapons and stuff, you need to have some basic workbenches. There's a stencil table, a pattern chest, which lets you actually build the parts, and a tool station, or a tool forge. The tool forge is an upgraded version of the tool station, allowing you to craft more advanced weaponry. But if you want to craft anything out of metal, you're going to need to have one of these smelteries. Simply throw in the ore that you want, and it will be placed inside the smeltery, and it will be melted down into a liquid. Once it's been melted down to a liquid, you can either pour it out into a block mold and get a block of the metal, or you can pour it into a cast, which can make a metal weapon part or an ingot. It can take a while for the ore to melt into metal, though, so you have to give it a little bit of patience. And I do apologize as lag is starting to affect my computer just a little bit now, but it shouldn't affect the rest of the video too horribly. And there you go, you can see that it pours out exactly like you would expect, and it turns into whatever you're pouring it into. You can also customize these weapons with various modifiers. And I won't go into too much detail on that because this isn't really a spotlight, this is just a top 10 review. But when you craft the various stations and smelteries and things like that, you will get books that explain how to do this stuff. So if you're feeling lost or confused, just flip through your book and it'll give you an indication of what you're supposed to do. The other one that we're talking about is Natura, which adds kind of the opposite of what Tinker's Construct adds. Tinker's Construct is more about weapons and mining. Natura, on the other hand, is more about building and farming. It adds 4 different berry bushes: raspberry, blueberry, blackberry, and mallowberry. And it also adds a few new trees, which you can craft into different colored wood. On top of the different colored wood, you can craft them into different colored wooden items, such as green colored buttons, or a different style of brown colored pressure plate, pink doors, blue blocks, white crafting benches. Very decorative, very useful for those who like to make very stylized houses. It also adds barley, which is similar to wheat, and can be used in place of wheat if you are having difficulty getting wheat seeds, or cotton plants, and cotton plants, not or. Cotton plants allow you to craft string and wool without needing to farm sheep and spiders. So, pretty useful mod to have. It also adds new mobs for the nether, such as imps, which are a sort of passive pigman. There's also heat scar spiders, which I'm on peaceful mode so I can't actually spawn right now. Heat scar spiders, the baby versions, or the mama versions, and nitro creepers. Be very careful with these guys. You might have a pleasant look on their face, but that's because they know if they explode near you, you are not surviving it. Coming in at number 4 on my list is Dartcraft. Now, this mod, I had no idea what it was when I first heard of it, and I was pretty confused when I was trying to figure it out at first. Fortunately, that situation is somewhat remedied. There's still a little bit of confusion that can happen, but you should be pretty safe figuring things out. So, what does Dartcraft add to the game? Well, the one thing that it adds that you'll probably notice right away is a new type of ore called power ore. You can get this ore while mining in the overworld or in the nether. And with that ore, you're able to craft an item called force ingots. It's a pretty simple recipe. Just combine the force gems that you get from the power ore with any ingot, and you will get some force ingots. Using these, you are able to get a force rod, which allows you to turn normal trees into force trees. You have to do it on the sapling, though. When these trees grow up, you're able to get force wood, and from the leaves you can get force nuggets, which you can then turn into more force ingots. Now, from here it gets a little bit complex, so you might want to try using your force rod on a bookcase. Well, I actually don't have the right force rod for that, but you are able to use a specific type of force rod on the bookcase. Let me just go ahead and grab the right one. Or no, wait, you don't actually grab the right one, you have to enchant it. My mistake. Anyway, if you use the force rod on a bookcase, you get an item called the Book of Medora. Geesh, I had a hard time saying that. The Book of Medora allows you to actually look up everything about Dartcraft, making it probably the most useful thing to get right away. But Dartcraft isn't all about just the force rod and stuff, it's also about enchanting things, making different colored blocks and items, such as different colored chests, which are very great because you can set them right next to each other, allowing you to do more compact storage. You also can make a force furnace, which can be upgraded, so it can give you double ingots for your ores, or go faster, or things like that. You also can make this infuser, which requires you to place force gems inside of it, which is something that I forgot to do, of course, because I always forget things. Anyway, you place down an engine, which you can craft with your basic force items, and it allows you to enchant items. Of course, you need a lever to turn it on. Fill your force engine with whatever you want, and turn it on. So, that's pretty much it for Dartcraft. Coming at number 3 on my list of top 10 mods is Applied Energistics. Now, when I first tried out this mod, I found it to be pretty darn awesome, actually. It took a little bit of learning to figure out how to do things, and it still does every now and then because they keep on adding new things to it. But it's a pretty straightforward mod. Find quartz, turn quartz into dust, or leave it as a crystal. Use quartz to make machines, and the machines allow you to have basically an infinite storage so long as they have power. Now you can use anything to power your ME system. Right now I have a simple Dartcraft engine on the back keeping everything powered. And it is a very great mod because it lets you basically store everything and access it from one central area, which kind of eliminates the need of super advanced sorting systems that you have to run through and find all the chests to find your items in. On top of that, it allows for some auto crafting. Now, the auto crafting is actually done in a massive structure like this. And depending on how big it is, it will affect how fast your crafting goes. And if you're ever missing materials, it will let you know, hey, you need to supply me with more materials. You also can use the quartz to craft different tools and weapons, mainly just quartz variants of basic pickaxes, shovels, and swords. The system integrates very well with other mods. It allows for things like import and export buses to access other blocks or inventories, which can be used with multiple different mods to make very complex and advanced crafting systems, allowing you to sit in front of a monitor like this and just say, hey, I need whatever I want, give it to me, and it will do it for you, so long as you have the materials. Coming in at number 2 on my list of top 10 mods is actually a very close call for me. The mod I decided to put on the top is one I have more experience with though, so Ars Magica, you get number 2 on my list. Now Ars Magica is a very, very beautiful mod. I don't mean that in terms of mechanics or anything, I mean that in terms of graphics. It adds 5 new ores to the game, and you can already see that it's got some pretty creative ideas going on just by looking at one of the ores. This ore changes color as you watch it. And this is kind of reflected on pretty much everything Ars Magica has to offer. All the blocks and structures that you can create with them are very intricate and wonderfully detailed. Even on this little block here, you have an eyeball that follows you as you move around. But the thing Ars Magica does best is the spell system. You can create and customize any spell you want, so long as you have the knowledge for it. For example, I have a spell here called Frost Arc. Now, here's a very good example of how beautiful this mod actually can be. As you sit here with the spell in your hand, instead of showing an item, it actually shows ice energy swirling around, and as you cast a spell, you can just launch out little bolts. It's a very cool system. Now, unfortunately, I haven't actually played with Ars Magica 2 very much, so I don't have everything down quite yet. I'm still learning the ropes. But the stuff I do know about it is basically limited knowledge from Ars Magica version 1. Now, I think one of the coolest things about this mod is actually it's based off of a board game, which makes me want to actually pick up the board game to see what it's like. But I'm probably going to have to wait until after Christmas for that. You know how Christmas is. All that shopping for family and friends. This mod, though, is definitely one that I would recommend every single year, every month of the year. And I wish I saw it in more mod packs than what it currently is in. But beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. Oh, and if you're ever wondering what to do in Ars Magica 2, don't worry about that. You get a little book that tells you everything you need to know. Honestly, more mods should adopt this book instruction model, in my opinion. And finally, the mod that I decided was my number 1 mod that I enjoyed throughout all of 2013, Thaumcraft. Now, Thaumcraft has actually gone through 2 versions in the past year, Thaumcraft 3 and now Thaumcraft 4. Thaumcraft 4 isn't radically different from Thaumcraft 3, but there's plenty of changes to it from Thaumcraft 3 that I can only say are positive improvements. I first started playing with Thaumcraft when it was in version 2, and back then it was more lab focused. You were stuck in a lab doing everything with magical goo. Now Thaumcraft is more about exploring the world and finding wonderful things, though it has brought back a little bit of the lab stuff, which I do have to admit that I did miss throughout Thaumcraft 3. Anyway, Thaumcraft 4 adds 8 different ores to the game. Amber, cinnabar, and different types of viz. These are your basic building blocks for a lot of the things you're going to end up needing to do. On top of that adds 2 new trees, silverwood and greatwood. Unfortunately, you can't bone meal these things to grow, so you're stuck looking at a sapling for now. Almost everything that you do in Thaumcraft 4 is done in either a magical working bench. This one's called the Arcane Workbench. There's another one called an Infusion Altar, which actually has changed a lot. I don't have one built because I have not done any research in Thaumcraft for this version. Well, in this world. So I can't make one quite yet. Other things that you create are also made inside of a crucible, which has you throwing in items to gain essences that turn into other items, such as these niter orbs we have floating around. A lot of the things that are in Thaumcraft 4 do replace some of the things that you would use in other mods, such as the quarry from Buildcraft. That can be replaced with this arcane bore, which tunnels through the ground a little bit slow right now, but I do not have the full research for this one yet, so I can't actually improve it right now. You can also take items that you find in the world and place them inside of this furnace to gain liquid essence from them, which can be stored inside of jars. I'd have to say the thing that I love most about Thaumcraft 4 is the originality of the mod. It kind of breaks away from the typical placing everything down as blocks and makes it more natural when walking around. In other words, you don't sit here and build structures and stuff. You actually can explore the world and gather up things like these aura nodes. And that's pretty much it. I'd say Thaumcraft is best experienced rather than explained. So I'm going to leave you off here. This has been my list of the top mods, in my opinion, of 2013. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you want to check out these mods yourself, well, you know how to Google, I hope. Typically I would link mods in the description below, but right now I don't think I will, because, well, most of these mods are available in mod packs or can be found with a quick Google search. And I definitely recommend playing with these mods in a mod pack, because the mod packs have them integrate nearly flawlessly with each other, making the experience much more enjoyable. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have other mods that you think should have been in my top 10 list, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and fave. I'll see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.